Okay, good evening, folks. This is a meeting of the Finance Committee. It's Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022. This meeting is being video recorded, and we are in the police station tonight. Before we start, I'd like to stand up and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, so before I get into what we're going to do tonight, I'd like to welcome Todd Hassett, who's the town accountant. So, Todd's finance committee members, most of them. We've got a few people missing. Now, are you still interim or?
I'm interim, yes.
Okay, all right. Any chance of being permanent?
It's up to Nick.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we're going through I'm gonna deviate from what we have here on the agenda tonight a little bit because I want to provide some clarification to our residents, basically. So I'm really addressing town residents, for the people that watch, for folks who didn't get to attend our annual town meeting in May, or for the folks who were there and didn't get a chance to read the letter that I drafted from the Finance Committee that went into the town warrant on what the role of the Finance Committee is. I'm going to read the letter, and then I'm going to go into some clarification on some of the misconceptions that were put out there during the meeting about what our role is and what it isn't. The role of the Finance Committee in municipal government is an important one and vital to a town with regards to prudent fiscal management. The Finance Committee is essentially a fiscal watchdog for a municipality and works collaboratively with the Board of Selectmen and Finance Department to ensure fiscal responsibility. The primary role for a Finance Committee is to analyze departmental budgets and make recommendations which will ensure a balanced budget. Our Finance Committee members have a diverse level of business experience from both the private and public sectors who volunteer their time without compensation or benefits. We care about our town, and that is the main reason we serve. This year, like many others, has had its challenges with regards to providing a balanced budget for the town while maintaining a quality level of service for our residents. Every year we face increases in fixed costs, some of which will be affected by the current substantial increase in inflation that is affecting all of us this year. This, combined with yearly uncertainty in state aid, always presents a challenge for our small town and emphasizes the importance of good, sound, conservative fiscal management of our town's finances. This will be more true this year more than ever. We started off this year without a town administrator, and at which point the Board of Selectmen stepped up to the plate along with our Finance Committee and other members of our Finance Department to continue operations without a hitch. Since then, an interim town administrator, who's now our full-time town administrator, Mr. Kelly, has come on board and has played a vital role in providing stability, guidance, and direction by establishing long-term goals to ensure financial stability for our town. The ultimate goal is to provide quality level of services and to keep our property taxes within the constraints of Proposition 2.5 without the need for any tax overrides to maintain our operational budget. To achieve this, all departments need to continue to work collaboratively with our Board of Selectmen, Town Administrator, and Finance Committee to maintain fiscally responsible budgets. I would like to thank all of our Finance Committee members who participated in this year's budgetary process, as well as our Finance Department and Town Administrator, along with our Board of Selectmen, who put in a lot of extra time to keep our town moving forward in the right direction. Also, thank you to all of our departments for understanding what it takes to present a balanced budget for our town residents. So that was the letter, that was in the town warrant. Some folks might have just glanced over it. Maybe some read it, and for the folks that didn't get to be there or watch it on TV, that is part of the role of the Finance Committee. I'd like to clarify some of the commentary that occurred during the annual town meeting. There was an implication that the Finance Committee is responsible for property tax increases in town, and that's totally wrong. The Board of Selectmen and Assessors Department set the tax rate. Where the Finance Committee does not do that. We have no role in raising or setting taxes. The property taxes only go up within the constraints of Proposition 2.5. The other implication that was made during that meeting was that the Finance Committee rubber stamps every budget that comes before us. And I also totally disagree with that. We have a process where we start our budgetary meetings in early January, and this particular year, we asked departments to provide us with 2 separate budgets, one with wants and needs, and one with just needs. And we would look at both the budgets, hear from the department heads, and then we'd make adjustments along the way. So some departments may get, some of their wants and all their needs. They all ended up pretty much getting what they needed, but not everybody got what they wanted. What you see when we take our votes on our recommendations is the final product, but there's a process to get to that point. So we are not rubber stamping everything, as was implied at that meeting. And I hope that clarifies some things. There was one other implication that the FinCom is responsible for union town employees getting salary increases. That is wrong. We are not involved in contract negotiations. The Board of Selectmen is involved in that, not the Finance Committee. So, for residents to think that that's our role, it's wrong. And the only reason I'm addressing this way is because there was one particular resident that came out doing a lot of grandstanding and theatrics during that annual town meeting, making these implications. And I thought it was totally unnecessary and wrong to take shots at our Finance Committee when we donate our time. And we all have busy lives. We have families, we're businesses, and for a town resident to take a shot at us like that, I thought it was uncalled for. And hindsight's 20/20. I tried to keep my composure at the meeting without acting like that individual did, so I wouldn't stoop to that level. But I wanted to provide some clarification tonight. That's all I have to say about that. So now we're going to go into our reserve fund transfers. We have quite a few. We have to finish up, take care of these before the end of the fiscal year on June 30th. The first one is from our reserve fund, and it's in the amount of $22,480.60, and it's being transferred to 4 different line items. One for Bristol County Retirement in the amount of $5,000, one for Medicare in the amount of $9,000, one for unemployment insurance in the amount of $6,939.44, and the other one is in the flexible benefits line item in the amount of $1,541.16. This is being requested in order to offset the deficit amounts in pensions and insurance. With 2 remaining payrolls, there's a large projected deficit, so this transfer would help offset that cost.
Question.
Yep.
Do we understand why we ran a deficit? Just because Medicare's, I think it's a fixed percentage of salary, and unemployment insurance and things like that. Is it because payroll ended up being higher than we had originally thought?
Presumably, the budget was set assuming a gross pay, and the actual has been higher.
Okay.
You'll have other transfers tonight. You'll see that relate to particularly public safety overtime.
Yeah, that's understood.
And
Okay.
that would contribute here. The pension assessment appears to have not been set at the right amount initially.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't know all the background on that one. And unemployment has, you know, we did have a period through the pandemic where a lot of communities have had
So our rate went
quite
up.
an impact. We don't have a rate like the
Like-
private sector. We
Okay.
pay as you go, so only actual claims are paid.
Gotcha.
So going forward, that line should be much better than the
Okay.
unemployment line.
I just wanted to understand
course.
if it was unforeseeable or kind of.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. Okay, the next transfer is a transfer of appropriations. This is coming from the Golf Reserve Fund in the amount of $52,500. And they are transferring that amount from their reserve fund, not the town's reserve fund, to the following line items. R&M equipment in the amount of $9,000, maintenance R&M equipment in the amount of $15,000, rentals in the amount of $10,500, gasoline in the amount of $8,000, and insurance in the amount of $10,000. So the explanation that they provided was the repair and maintenance of equipment exceeded their initial budget due to the needs of keeping the older equipment in good working condition. And the cost increases in fuel, which is not surprising, and insurance have led to those line items exceeding their initial budget. And they also had to rent equipment this year in order to aerate the fairways this year, which is important for a golf course, because if you don't have good fairways, you're going to have unhappy golfers, and we want to keep them coming back.
Motion is that, as is. Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? No one's opposed. Motion passes unanimously. Okay. I am going to go off on a tangent one more time. Sorry, folks. Before we take on the next transfer, I just want, we're talking about golf right now. I wanted to go back to the golf department, and there was some good discussion about the golf department at our annual town meeting. And our golf department operates as an enterprise fund. Their operating budget does. So an enterprise fund, for the folks out there that don't know what that is, they basically fund themselves. So tax dollars are not utilized to operate their budget. So there was an implication that, because our DPW has gone over there and helped out a few times, that tax dollars are being used. And at the town meeting, our former chair of the Board of Selectmen, indicated that there was probably about a $25 cost per household to run our golf course. Now, upon further investigation, the majority of that $25 is basically to cover golf employees' health insurance and other benefits, which are not part of their operating budget. So it's essentially $2 a month to run our golf department. So it still runs as an enterprise fund because their operating budget covers their cost. And I just wanted to provide some clarification on that.
In addition, they're working to pay off debt at the end of a few more years. That golf course is paid for.
That's right. So that's going to be
It's going to start being a money generator.
it's going to be a town asset, and I believe those funds can be used to help, like the recreational department, improve fields and improve their golf course, which is going to help attract more golfers. And I think it can be really a real centerpiece for the town of Acushnet. I mean, I hear so many good things about it from golfers, and I haven't golfed in probably 3-4 years. So this is from what I'm hearing. So it's not like I'm a big golfer, but I think it's we've invested a lot of time and money into that golf course, and it's gonna be paid off in approximately, I think, 7 years. Is that right, Nick? Yeah. Yeah, so then at that point, then it's truly an asset.
And I think one of the points that was glossed over, if brought up at all during the town meeting, but we've certainly discussed it in our own finance meetings, is that some of the work that the DPW is doing there is for areas that the town can utilize, like the walk paths.
Absolutely.
And it's also an investment in green space for the town that's protected moving forward, so.
Absolutely.
That tends to get overlooked and never even talked about, but it's not just for golfers, there's plenty of other things that people can do with that golf course that can benefit them.
Well, and to that point, with regards to the DPW, when this all came about, I reached out to Dan, the head of our DPW, to have a conversation with him about this, about how much time he thinks they spend there during the course of the year, and he couldn't even quantify a number because it's so sporadic and it's not significant enough to keep track of. And at the end of the day, they're helping out the town. And he would only utilize his guys if there was any downtime. So instead of having them sit around in the town barn, not doing anything, he's like, all right, we're gonna go help out, them out and see if we can make things a little bit better over there. So it's a win-win situation anyway.
Yeah.
So to nitpick and go after them in that kind of manner, I didn't agree with it, and I still consider them an enterprise fund. The next transfer of appropriations comes from miscellaneous expenses and veterans benefits. The miscellaneous expenses is in the amount of $4,976.50, and veterans benefits in the amount of $7,000, and those funds total $11,976.50 and are being transferred to miscellaneous salaries, comp. So the reason for this, there was an unforeseen amount of departures from the town. In turn, it drastically drove up compensated balances into a deficit. So our employees are able to cash out any unused vacation time, which is then paid out through the miscellaneous line item compensation balances.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Since there's no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No one's opposed. Motion passes unanimously. The next transfer of appropriations. And to just clarify to residents out there watching, what a transfer of appropriations is basically the department is moving some funds from one line item into another within their department. So we're not taking money out of our own reserve fund for this purpose. There was only one transfer tonight that actually came from our reserve fund. That was the first one we did. And then the other one was from the golf reserve fund. The rest of them are all interdepartmental exchanges, if you will. So this next one is from technology. It's two separate line items. The first line item is in the amount of $10,000, and the next one is in the amount of $5,700 for a total of $15,700. And that's being transferred to technology, three different technology line item expense. One for software, internet service, and contract IT supplies. So the technology budget wasn't accurately, or had not been accurately updated over the past few years, accounting for service cost increases. Also the addition of multiple pieces of hardware for various offices. So equipment purchases.
I make a motion, accept.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? No one's opposed. Okay, the next transfer appropriations is in the amount of $38,229.20. So this is coming from several different line items. Selectmen/expenses, training in the amount of $10,000. Town meeting expenses in the amount of $3,500. Treasurer, communication, Registrar of records, $6,000. Planning expenses, software, $4,500. Appeals/expenses and communication, $2,000. EMA expenses, which are for energy and phone line item, $1,800. Animal control, clothing, emergency vet services, I would believe that the abbreviation is for, $2,400. Health, public health, $7,000. And recreation expenses, hardware, $1,029.20, in the amount of $38,229.20. That is being transferred to our legal services line item. So the town has had a continuous multi-level lawsuit over the past year. It's well documented, well known. So that's been driving up our legal cost. And this also was to cover a settlement that resulted in a payout.
Just wondering, it's a lot of transfers to cover that. I guess it made more sense to do this than to do a reserve fund transfer. I mean, I'm just
Well,
wondering, we gotta take away from these.
Since it's towards the end of the fiscal year, it would be safe to say that there wasn't enough money in that reserve fund to cover probably this amount. So this is why.
I thought we did.
Well, they also have to have excess in these accounts in order to transfer to begin with, so,
That's correct.
I mean, you're better to move the excess than to touch the reserve.
Todd or Nick, do you want to expand on
I
that?
wanted to say two things. One, there are two pending reserve fund transfer requests not before you tonight. One for the fire department and one, I believe, for the park department.
Okay, so that's being,
So those you'll consider in July, and that would essentially take
Wipe it
care of the
out.
balance.
Okay.
And the other thing, with respect to the legal services, this covers the town's expense through February.
so there's going to be more, there's more of a
So
balance after
I have
that.
not paid, I'm holding 3 months of legal bills that we don't have the resources to cover for, and we still have June pending. And so through May, it's another $46,000 approximately, just so you know. So that will be something the fall town meeting will be asking.
Okay.
As a bill of prior fiscal year.
It'll be addressed as an article, yeah.
Yep.
So the attorneys are okay waiting until October to get paid?
It's the price of doing business.
Yeah.
I said, now remind your invoices after 60 days.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's already got it.
Yeah, understood.
I'll make a motion then.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, any further discussion? Since there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No one's opposed, motion passes unanimously. The next transfer of appropriations is from highway salaries line item in the amount of $20,000, and that's going into their gasoline line item. I don't think any explanation is needed.
Make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I don't understand why we need more money in gasoline. I'm joking.
Just imagine if we were paying these prices during plowing.
No one's opposed. The motion passes unanimously.
Gotta buy electric public works trucks.
Yeah.
Listen, I just filled up the Jeep. I know exactly.
By the way, electricity went up 18% earlier in the year, and they want another 15 now, so.
We can save some of that discussion for a future date.
Not to be nitpicky, but this is negative. This is just a hard coding, right? This is a no highway goes into the system. Because highway salaries is a negative 20,000, so this is just typewriter form, it doesn't in any way connect into the system. Okay, it just, like, should it be negative or should it not be negative? That's all. But if it doesn't go anywhere, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're reducing that appropriation to cover the appropriation on the right.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it didn't go into, like, to the system where it's a negative
Oh,
from the account
sure.
to the, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's just how, like,
That's how it
you
goes.
filled it out.
Yeah, yeah,
Gave it
no,
to us.
that's fine. That's all I wanted to make sure.
Catch,
Huh?
catch, the accounting background.
Yeah, just kind of helps.
Same one on the next one.
Yeah.
That's why it helps to have a CPA in the group.
Printed the color, mine is red too.
I would expect nothing less.
It's fine.
All right, the next transfer of appropriations is from CMAS Recycle Removal. In parentheses, is $60,000, and it's being transferred to CMAS Salaries in the amount of $30,000, and again, highway gasoline in the amount of $30,000.
$50,000 in gas total.
That's right, yes, in total 50,000. This is for all town departments, public safety, public works, school.
Make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
No one's opposed? I think this, these gasoline transfer, this is going to continue to rear its ugly head, I think, as time goes on. And it's probably going to get worse.
How much is that up to? What are we up to on? Is there still more coming?
That should be it for this year, but to your point, the next FY '23 budget
Yeah,
is not
it's-
set at an appropriate level. so
Yeah, exactly.
probably need to
So I think we're gonna
fix
end up
all
seeing,
that spring.
yeah, more of these things
Right.
coming down the pike, unfortunately.
And in the beginning, it would presumably come out of reserve fund because,
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, in
Yeah, these
this,
type of transfers can only be done after May 1st each year, the last 2 months of the year under state
so,
law.
I mean, what did we do, 150 for reserve?
Yes.
yes.
Did we run out of money if we start, I mean, if we're transferring 50,000, well, I'm just thinking, we're transferring 50,000 to cover 3 months, like, could we find ourselves in a position where reserve is gonna run out? Because we're gonna have to start making reserve fund transfers to cover gasoline.
That would be our job to stop that from happening.
Well, gas is gas.
And it may be something we look at in fall.
Yep.
We could supplement the reserve fund much like we could supplement the fuel.
Mhm.
Okay, I think that might be worth something to
Might be
consider
worth
then.
looking, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna have to, implement some measures like this. Even with the talks of this pending 3-month reprieve on the federal tax, this 18 cents per gallon, that's not gonna do a damn thing at fixing the problem. And it's such a tiny Band-Aid.
Well, not when
It's-
you pay $5,
No.
right? Not when you pay $5.
No, it's not gonna make a difference.
It's just writing the check and you don't have the money in the account from it.
No, and then, you can't expect everybody to run out and buy a $50,000, $60,000 electric vehicle. That's just insane. But again, that's another topic that can be brought up. All right, the next transfer is a pretty big one, and I'm not going to read through all the different line items on the left. It's in the amount of $146,000. It's coming from different line items in the selectmen's budget, and it's to cover police overtime, which ended up having a shortfall of $146,000. So the shortfall was in large part due to absences that were unanticipated and was unbudgeted for. So all these things, the overall reason why the overtime came out the way it did was mainly because of unforeseen things that happened. I think there was a couple officers that got injured on duty, so they were out. I believe 2 of them, if not 3, had to go out and serve active duty military activations to cover these expenses. So, you're not, you can't expect the chief to anticipate, okay, I'm gonna have this guy hurt this year, that's unrealistic. So unfortunately, this kind of situation can arise, and we had to address it. And I think there was, some creative measures that took place to cover these costs right now. Going forward, would we want to see this as a regular thing? Probably not. So it's something that we're going to probably look at a little more closely and work on to correct.
Motion passed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Since there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No one's opposed? Okay, the next transfer of appropriations is from Veterans Benefits in the amount of $43,000. And this is going to cover the overtime deficit in the fire department salaries. So if we look at the explanation, so the original appropriation of $58,028 for fire department overtime was originally designed to cover the open shifts caused by employees using vacation and personal time. During FY22, overtime was needed to cover 701 hours of sick time, 1,100 hours of open shifts caused by retirement, resignation, and open shifts designated to part-time for which no part-timer was available, as well as 360 hours of coverage for employees out on job-related injuries. So again, the majority of this is due to unforeseen measures, unfortunately.
Veterans taking another hit.
Well, that's a question I have, because that's the second transfer we've had out of that totaling $50,000 out of the veterans benefits budget. I mean, what are we actually losing, or didn't we not do that had $50,000 left over in veterans benefits?
If I remember
That's a small one.
Yeah,
to
we
begin
did.
with.
Yeah, we did have. I can't remember the explanation in detail on that. Nick, do you?
There's usually a pretty decent buffer, just in case like more residents move into town, and then he has to pick them up throughout the year, or if people pass away.
Exactly. I think that was the issue.
explanation was they've had veterans pass.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was. I think that was the case this past year. Was unfortunately, I think there were more veterans that passed than
And they've recently picked up, I think, one new case recently, the last few months. And also, it should be noted that veterans' ordinary benefits that are paid out are reimbursed by the Commonwealth through the cherry sheet at 75 cents on the dollar.
That's right.
There's a delay in the reimbursement, but when the claims or the cost goes down, we just have to remember that in the subsequent year, the revenue may
It comes-
not be as
yeah.
robust, so.
Make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No one's opposed. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, this looks like the last one. The last transfer of appropriations is from our Registrar of Voters expenses in the amount of $4,500. And it's being transferred to the Registrar of Voters salaries line item. So the deficit was due to a shortage of office staff from mid-September through the beginning of January due to a medical injury and surgery. So this required the temporary assistant registrar to work additional hours during the finalization period of the 2020 decennial census.
So I guess my question is why are we looking at a deficit from 2020, closing out 2022? Why wouldn't it have been addressed last year?
Well, the deficit happened this year. I think the census follow-up for the federal 2020 census does take some period of months. I don't know exactly what that is.
Was injured, right?
Yeah.
I think we had asked Pam that during one of our meetings, and I can't remember her explanation totally. with regards to that.
But it was addressed, it might have been.
It was addressed. Yeah, yeah.
I have faith in you.
Make a
Actually, I
motion.
have faith.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No one's opposed. The motion passes unanimously. Okay, next on the agenda is, we have two sets of minutes to vote on. One is from our meeting of March 30th, 2022. In attendance at that meeting was myself, Pete Benoit, Eric Chu, Sue Delgado, Bob Ferrera, and Eric McGlynn.
Make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, those minutes are approved. The next set of minutes is from our Finance Committee meeting of April 13th, 2022. In attendance was myself, Pete Benoit, Eric Chu, Bob Ferrera, and Eric McGlynn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Okay, so the minutes are approved. Does anyone have any old business that they would like to discuss? Okay, no old business. New business. Okay, so we have no new business. All right, so I mean, I'm under new business. I'm going to bring up the fact that we still have, I think, a 2-member deficit here on our committee. But it's going to be, actually, that's going to be down to 1 because I'm expecting a new member with us for our next meeting. I think the Board of Selectmen will make the appointment, unless they did it yesterday. Did they make any appointments yesterday? So it didn't come up? Okay. Well, maybe we won't. Right away.
Another meeting bill coming up next week, isn't it?
They have another one next week? All right, so maybe it'll be addressed next week. It might be on the agenda next week then.
I thought it was on this last agenda.
Because I was anticipating that. So I think then we'll end up with just a shortfall of 1.
You talk to Jack?
I've not heard from Jackie Stanley. So I think, going into our next budget season next January, I think that's going to have to be addressed, because we can't just have somebody listed as a member and they haven't been in attendance for quite some time.
I don't think they've been in attendance in the past year plus, right?
Yeah.
It's been two budget seasons.
Yeah.
I know something happened, some personal stuff.
Right, and that's
So
fine.
that means that she's got but that means her 3-year term's gotta be up.
Yeah, I would
It
think
just
so.
got renewed though, that's the confusing.
Who renewed it?
It was renewed, I think she's good till 2024.
I don't see how that's possible, because you'd have to actually go down and get, you have to get sworn in.
Yeah, we talk about this like every other meeting.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, I know. And of course, we're holding on to Mr. St. Jean's spot. That's not going anywhere. He's still, recuperating, and I'm anticipating that he will be back. I hope he is anyway. I hope he's going to be back. He seemed to be doing better from the last time I talked to him, so. So, next meeting date is going to most likely be early July. Now, I know I'm on vacation the first week in July, so I'm thinking the second week in July is probably going to be the best for me.
So you're talking to the 13th?
So so if we have to do this, we have to get this done before the 15th, so.
Perfect.
Okay, so July, is that the Tuesday,
Yes.
Wednesday's July
Wednesday
13th?
the 13th.
Yeah, that's week.
All right,
I am away the 12th through the 14th, so I will not be in attendance for that.
okay.
I am away the same exact dates.
All right, so you won't be available either.
I'll be in Chicago.
Okay. All right, so that leaves us three. Bob Ferrara. I don't know, well, he's not here to answer for himself, so, but we're gonna,
I'm planning on it.
but regardless, we won't have the 5-person quorum for that meeting.
That's one of the things where I'm like events at night that I need to do, so I can't even commit that I could do a
Mhm.
teleconference.
There's a possibility that I can do a teleconference, but I honestly won't know until that day.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna,
Unless that's
You want to
personal.
move it to a Monday meeting then? Does it have to be a Wednesday? Can we move it to another different weekday that's more suitable for everyone?
I leave on the 12th, I could do Monday the 11th.
Same thing. I have a flight on Tuesday. I can do Monday.
all right,
Whatever's good for
okay,
everybody.
all right, so I'd say let's do the Monday then instead. So was it Monday, July 11th?
Monday, July 11th.
All right, let's do that because I don't want to run into any issues, and then, we're having a meeting and it's not considered, legal. So, Kathy, you got that right, Monday, July 11th, 7 o'clock. So I don't know,
7-Eleven at 7?
I'd love
If
to
the-
do it here still, but this is so much more comfortable, in my opinion.
we could do it here. I don't know if I don't know who meets in the Board of Selectmen room on Monday nights around 7 o'clock, so, either,
It'll come out in minutes, right?
I know, I'm just throwing it out, I like this location,
It's
there's
prob-
space to it.
well, it's probably more convenient for our AV department, to have it at the Board of Selectmen room, I would imagine.
Everything's there.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? Is that correct, Mike?
Yeah.
Our
Nick?
boss.
Yeah, better audio.
Yeah.
Goes out live over there.
Yeah.
It's just
So
more-
I think, first preference should be in my opinion, should be the Board of Selectmen meeting room. It's great that the police department offers this to us, but I don't want to make it a habit of using this room all the time. So my preference is to keep it in the Board of Selectmen meeting room. So Kathy, we'll schedule it for there, unless there's going to be a conflict,
Right, I'll look
then,
for it.
yeah, and then we'll change it and we'll meet here. So, sorry, Pete.
All I can do is ask, that's all.
We still don't have
If
anything,
there's
so.
Unless-
that's right, it's been a year, we still don't have the input.
Unless you're planning on bringing some of those,
I do.
unless you're planning on bringing some of those gourmet cupcakes again, then
So we
maybe,
can reconsider.
yeah, then we can maybe reconsider
I would
that.
have, but then you brought those,
Healthy potato chips.
I didn't think, I
Okay.
call them rice cakes, but I mean something
Yeah.
rice cakes.
No way, they tasted much better, come on. All right, so we set our next meeting date. I think we covered everything in tonight's meeting. Good meeting, folks, and it was nice to have our interim town accountant, Todd Hassett, join us and provided input tonight, as well as Nick. So I'm glad that you guys could be here. Thank you.
Motion adjourned.
We have motion to
Second.
adjourn. Is there just a second? All in favor?
I-
All right, meeting is adjourned.